You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. I want to talk about this Trump CNN town hall next week. It's going to be Wednesday next week in primetime, 9 p.m., CNN in New Hampshire. And this Trump CNN town hall is the most important event Donald Trump has done to date. Okay? And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Okay? Donald Trump's done a lot of important things, but this is the most important thing that he has done to date. And I really mean that. This is not clickbait. I'm not trying to be sensational and say this is the big thing and you got to follow. This truly is the big thing. And let me tell you why. CNN, they hate Trump like the plague, right? They hate him. They hate him. They hate him. They hate him. MSNBC, CNN, they hate this guy worse than Fox.
I feel like Fox hates him too.
They hate him, but CNN, everyone on CNN, all their pundits. Over at Fox, you can find some isolated people who like Trump. At CNN, it's all. And this is why it is the most important event that President Trump has ever had. I'm talking about so far as campaigning. I don't mean, like, of course, going to North Korea and all that stuff is big, but, overturning Roe v. Wade is big. He did big things. But what I'm talking about in both campaigns, any campaign event he's done, this town hall on CNN is the most important, biggest thing he has ever done. Let me tell you exactly why.
Yeah, I think it's pretty big.
Okay. This Caitlyn girl that was with Don Lemon is going to be the moderator. It's New Hampshire. So you already know, because it's CNN, it's left wing. And of course, CNN in these town halls, they overload it with Democrats. There's a lot of independents that are really Democrats. They load the questions and all that stuff. So it's very liberally biased against Trump. Second thing is, this is in New Hampshire. New Hampshire voters are the most arrogant people in America. They really are. They believe they decide who the presidents are because they go first. It's all important. They're very important. And I have seen regular people, I don't mean like broadcasters. I've seen regular people that live in New Hampshire, that work like in grocery stores or Walmarts, say that they have gotten phone calls or knocks at their door from presidential candidates directly, because every voice in New Hampshire is very important, because historically it's supposed to set a trend and a wave and blah, blah, blah. And then even on election day, they go to that first town where they vote before anybody and there's like 12 people. So they're very arrogant. President Trump likely will get asked very, very left-wing biased questions from everyone, right? You guys agree with this? This is why it's so important, and the biggest event that he's ever done campaign-wise in any of his three, because this is his third campaign.
He hasn't done a town hall there since 2016.
It's bigger than that. Let me tell you why.
He was first running.
Okay. CNN, like the other cable news, but CNN has not, and there are millions of people in this country, they get their news solely from CNN. The people that watch CNN, they haven't heard Donald Trump talk about issues in years, since the first campaign. The whole last year of President Trump's first term basically was COVID, right? So everything he did was about that. And they have not carried a real Trump event in several years, okay? So if you get your news from CNN, all you know about Trump is how he's been defined by pundits and liberal jerks like Jim Acosta, or people like Michael Avenatti or E. Jean Carroll or Anderson Cooper. They have not heard him. They've heard him talked about for years without hearing him. I want Donald Trump to get the most difficult, most absurdly liberal Trump derangement questions you can come up with. First one, I'd like to hear him ask: did you have sex with Stormy Daniels? Did you rape E. Jean Carroll? I would ask him about the the dossier in detail. Did you really rent the hotel room in Moscow where Obama stayed and hired Russian prostitutes?
Gee, all your
and all that
questions are sex related.
Well, because they talk about this all the time on CNN, Kathy.
I know.
And these are some of the biggest things.
It's just kind of funny.
And and I want all that. Did you steal classified documents? Did this? I want them to ask everything. Did you really not pay your bills to vendors in New Jersey when you're? And the reason I want these difficult questions asked, or these crazed questions asked, is because I want the viewers of CNN to hear the real story from the source himself, President Trump. Shoot all of these things down, and when they get through all the questions, the viewers of CNN are going to see Donald Trump in a light they've not seen him in, because he's been defined for about the last 5 years by pundits and liberal jerk anchors like Don Lemon. And I think many millions of viewers to CNN, at the end of that, it might take it a while to sink in, but I think millions of people that get their news solely from CNN are going to say, you know what? I like Donald Trump. And you know what? He's right about this. And he's right about that. And it's a way to wake up a lot of people out of the matrix and red pill a lot of people.
Well, I if he gets asked those kinds of questions,
I hope he does. And I think he does too.
I hope he quickly answers them and moves on.
Of course.
Because I think what's more important is the issues and him talking about his record and his plans for the
Well,
future.
he'll do that too.
Well, maybe not. I mean, I think getting mired down in these sex scandals is a waste of time for me personally. I really don't care to hear about it. And I think, I'm sure they'll ask him those things. But I would like him to say, look, I don't want to talk about that here. I've said everything I'm going to say about that. No. I want to talk about the issues, my plan for the future for this country. He could quickly answer them. No, I didn't do it. It's not true.
Kathy,
there's a lot of fake things.
I was watching MSNBC the other day. Okay,
doesn't matter. They're going to believe what they want to believe.
No, they're not. No, the other day I was watching MSNBC because remember we're Fox Free now, right? And they were President Trump has partnered with a woman who was involved in the Capitol breach and said this and said these crazy things. I want them to ask him these tough questions so he can show the truth. People that are liberal, they get their news from the corporate media. They don't know Donald Trump. They know this stereotypical character that's been created about him.
Well, I agree. There'll be people that are watching that probably don't normally watch the news too.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't want things to get bogged down with these stupid scandals.
Who cares about the debt ceiling talk?
No, but I would like him to talk about Russia and energy and his plan for this and the deep state and all these things. But, they're going to get him. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to ask. They take questions from the audience, which are all pre-planned.
It's going to be liberal.
But other than the questions he gets asked, more importantly, I think, is it's going to show people that this is a guy who's not afraid to answer questions from anybody.
That's right.
And you have Biden, who has questions written down with a picture of a reporter to call on with the question and the answer in front of him. And then the White House tries to act like that's not scripted. Give me a break. Mm-hmm. That was completely scripted. And then everybody saw that. And then you have Trump not long after going into the lion's den here and doing questions and answers that I promise you, does not know the questions ahead of time.
Oh, no.
Nor would he care to. And I really hope people that are on the fence about him or maybe don't like him at least say, you know what? You got to respect the guy for at least answering questions and facing the American people, unlike Biden, who hides and does nothing. And I think you're right. I think it will win people over. And I think it's a good opportunity. He hasn't done a town hall there in 7 years, which is a long time. And I think it's amazing to me after January 6th. I never thought Trump would be back in the good graces. And when I say good graces, I mean just being given a platform.
Yep.
I never thought he would be given a platform on any media outlet ever.
Because he's been cleared of it.
I thought he was going to be, I said to you, he's going to be completely banned and he was for a while from all social media, from news outlets, everything. They're going to ghost his butt and make it like he doesn't even exist. And now here it is. A couple years later, he's back on social media, and he is now going to be doing a town hall on CNN.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And that's because he's been completely cleared. if he had organized an insurrection against the United States government, CNN wouldn't have him on. Now, CNN.
I agree. I mean, obviously, the people have changed their opinion, whatever their motivation is. And I'm sure it's not to help him, but their motivation could be to screw it to Fox, to try to pick up viewers from that are kind of in limbo. Because I think CNN, they're deluded, but I think they're looking at these millions of Fox viewers looking for a place to go. And they're thinking, you know what, if we have Trump on here, if we start doing more Trump, then, maybe we'll get some people to watch and see us differently. And maybe Chris Licht is finally trying to move things more to the middle and show both sides. I mean, who knows? But people have to respect Trump for at least doing this.
A lot of what's going on with the CNN town hall is it's the capitalist system competition. Fox News has been number one by far for many years, like 20 years, and since 9/11. And CNN sees a chance to bring down Fox News.
Yeah.
So what I would like to see President Trump do after this town hall is do a blitz of liberal media. Listen, conservative media.
Yeah, I think he should.
Conservative media is fine, but that's preaching to the choir. He needs to. The reason this is so important on CNN is so he can show people who he really is and not this monster that they believe. I mean, millions of people watch CNN, think that President Trump applauded those monsters in Charlottesville, which he did not. Right? He went out of his way not to. And they think that. So these things need to be addressed, Kathy.
Do you think liberals, because I'm sure they're going to be calling for a boycott of CNN now.
Yes, of course.
And they're going to be all upset about it. I don't really know what CNN's motivation is. I'm really
bring
surprised.
Down Fox.
When I read this yesterday, I was really flabbergasted. I was like, wow.
Well, there's
shocking.
There's an article I have here that they're freaking out. This is where is this?
The liberals are going to freak out.
This is in The Guardian, right? Got to go to Europe to get the American news, right? CNN's planned town hall with Donald Trump faces criticism. All right, and here it is. It says here the announcement that CNN will host a New Hampshire town hall event where Donald Trump was met with widespread criticism. Angelo Carusone, chief executive of Media Matters, which is a left-wing Soros-funded group, they call it a progressive watchdog group, says the transparent attempt to goose their ratings does feel at least a little odious, but all the more reason that they need to get this right.
So he thinks is strictly for ratings.
Yeah, Judd Legum, author of the Popular Information newsletter, said first CNN purged anyone who was deemed too anti-Trump. Now this. Okay, Keith Olbermann, who's a psychopath, he says, I think we can say Chris Licht's conversion of CNN into a political and journalistic whorehouse is complete.
Oh, my God. He's so pathetic. He's so jealous.
So they're having meltdowns. See, the thing about what Trump is all about here is just not understood by so many Americans. Those of us that are MAGA, we understand what's going on here. I was reading a tweet from someone that I have a lot of respect for and then I read their tweet today and I was like, they're lost. They're lost in the wilderness. They were someone who said that, I'm paraphrasing, I don't have the tweet in front of me, but someone I know. And they tweeted, MAGA thinks that Ron DeSantis, if he runs in 2028, is the greatest. He's the savior, the second MAGA king, and all this stuff. But if he challenges Trump, he's a corporate elitist who's in with the military-industrial complex. Yeah, that's true. That's an accurate statement, and it's not a negative thing. The MAGA movement is incomplete, and I don't know who's going to pick it up after Trump's second term. But
it's not going to be DeSantis.
DeSantis is. I keep saying this, and it's true. He is unelectable forever. He is so unpopular in the state of Florida. He's done some things. The Florida legislature, they passed a bunch of bills. Now he's signing them. He has signed into law very, very conservative things in the last few weeks.
Yeah, he's a great governor.
He just they could not get open carry through. So they have concealed carry without a permit. He signed that. He just signed an abortion ban bill, no abortions after 6 weeks. In cases of rape and incest, documentation and police reports must be provided. You just can't say that you were raped or a victim of incest. He signed a bill into law just yesterday, giving the death penalty to pedos, child molesters. So he's done a lot of conservative things, but and I'm grateful, but we still don't trust this guy, and we can't trust him. He's doing a lot of things, some of them because he has to save face as a Republican, and some of them he still thinks he's electable, and he betrayed the MAGA movement. And it's not a cult. I keep describing the MAGA movement and President Trump as a civil rights movement. Look at what's going on. The United States has been taken over by donors, corrupt public officials, and foreign countries like China and Ukraine. There's two stories I put together this morning on the radio, two stories completely separate from one another. You put them together. Zelensky put together a team in Ukraine to put a list of Russian propagandist enemies of the state being Ukraine. There were several Americans on that list, including Rand Paul. And now we find out yesterday that the Murdochs had a private meeting with Zelensky not long before they fired Tucker Carlson, who was not in favor of U.S. intervention in the Ukraine war. So the MAGA movement is about taking the control of the country back from donors, foreign interest, and these corrupt public officials, and giving it back to the American people in straight-laced, honest, elected officials. And obviously, Ron DeSantis has been bought, and I don't mean like bribed with money. He's been bought with promises of power.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's and his wife too, and that's the way it is.
It seems like everything's falling apart.
Well, this
for him, and you could tell by the way he's acting and the way he's responding.
I'm not sure
things.
how aware of it he is, Kathy. So.
I think he's aware. The last two things I've seen with him, he looks very awkward and uncomfortable and not happy.
This blew my mind when
he's coming down off that high.
I was interviewing Laura Loomer a few weeks ago. I did not know this, that Ron DeSantis does not own a car. And a lot of people say, well, he's governor. He doesn't need one. Obama owned a car when he was president. When he got elected, he owned a car. It was a Ford, the small SUV Ford, and it was a hybrid. He had a hybrid Ford SUV. President Clinton had a convertible Mustang when he was elected president. He drove it on Inauguration Day. G.W. Bush had a pickup truck.
Does Trump? I don't think Trump has a car.
Oh, sure.
He owns limos.
Sure, he owns cars that drive him around. He's a chauffeured man, but he owned them.
We did see a picture of him driving a sports car getting gas.
Like a Lamborghini or Ferrari here in Palm Beach.
Before he ran for president.
No, but he owned like limousines and things, Kathy, that drive him around. He's a chauffeured man. He owned those cars. Now he gets taken around by Secret Service.
Right.
But Ron DeSantis doesn't own a car or a home. Plus, he's
like Bernie Sanders used to be.
Yeah, and this is something you got to think of.
He's been in the government, I guess.
This is
adult life.
See, Donald Trump, to my knowledge, is the only man who didn't get richer being president of the United States. Everyone else did. Everyone from George Washington on. Some didn't have a chance to because they died like Lincoln in office. But he would have, though. He would have. Lincoln, he would have, believe me. They all did. They all did, except Trump. And that's why Ron DeSantis, who, if you read his book, when he was captain of the baseball team in college, was befriended by George H.W. Bush, Bush 41, Bush 1. And they recruited him then. And because he has two nickels to rub together, he's basically lives in government housing. And lives off the government, right? Because he's paid a salary, and it's a good salary. I don't know what the governor of Florida earns. He lives in government housing, no car, no house. And that means he's perfect. He's perfect. They bought him. They bought him with a promised future, and you can't trust him. And it breaks my heart because I believed him, and I thought he was so super cool that he was like Trump too. And then
we all did.
And then this happened.
We were just totally fooled.
Yeah, and I'm also now the thing about the town hall next week. It's Wednesday next week. Next week, okay, not this week.
Right.
On CNN.
Be like on the 10th.
He very well may hardcore go after DeSantis, and then that'll be followed up with a town hall with Ron DeSantis.
I just want them to focus on the future of the country.
That too. I wanted to do that too.
And his plan for the country, how he feels about transgendered sports and abortion and all these issues, and the economy and his plans for that post-COVID. And nobody's really, heard that because they focus so much on the past and all the gossip and all this. And I really hope he can divert, but I don't think he will. But I would like to see him divert off of those other topics.
No, he'll do that too.
And say, look, we could talk about that, but I really want to talk about my future plans and how I see the country going and getting off China and getting, becoming energy independent and finishing what I started, finishing the wall, this and that. I'd like to hear him talk about that and drive that home with people instead of getting all bogged down with these sex scandals, which I really don't give a damn about. And I think most people don't really care about. I think people are just so fatigued over these sex scandals with people.
No, Kathy. Okay, maybe I didn't. I wasn't clear enough. What I want him.
I mean, I really don't care.
What I want him to do is be able to show how fake all the news they've been hearing about him all these years is. Now we are not too far away from Mother's Day, and then 1 month later exactly is Father's Day.
Yep.
There's no better gift for Mother's Day and Father's Day than anything at MyPillow.com. And when you use our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, you're supporting the podcast, you're supporting my YouTube channel, and of course the Steve Kane Radio Show too. All the content I bring to you, you're supporting when you use our promo code KANE. And I just quickly want to tell you what a great gift idea for both Mother's Day and Father's Day is, and that is the MyPillow 2.0, which we have. Kathy and I sleep on the MyPillow 2.0, which is an upgraded version of the MyPillow with cooling technology material on it. Your head, your face do not get hot at night. You'll never flip the pillow over again because it's warm or hot. Mm-hmm. It's just like Goldilocks, perfect temperature. And this is what makes it great for Mother's Day and Father's Day. It's buy one, get one free with our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, at MyPillow.com. So you order them both. You give mom hers on Mother's Day, and I promise you, Dad, by Father's Day, he's going to be wanting one. And then you'll already have it, and you'll just give it to him on Father's Day, and he'll be very happy. And it's a gift they will have for years to come. The MyPillow 2.0 is buy one, get one free with our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We're going to take a quick break and be right back. ChatGPT. Everyone's talking about it, but did you know that you can make money using ChatGPT? Get ready to make money easily and quickly using ChatGPT. With your copy of the must-read book, The ChatGPT Millionaire, making money online has never been this easy. Updated for GPT-4 from author Neil Dagger. This is the ultimate guide to creating passive income, writing engaging content, and finishing client projects in just minutes. With over 150 act-as prompts, you can use ChatGPT for whatever you need. Social media content, blog posts, video scripts, software apps. The uses are endless. Order your copy right now on Amazon and get a free ChatGPT prompt cheat sheet and no-nonsense guide on how to build wealth. Start your journey to financial freedom and order your copy of The ChatGPT Millionaire from author Neil Dagger on Amazon. Are you tired of feeling stuck in a job with no potential for growth? Do you dream of earning more money and providing a better life for yourself and your family? If so, listen close. Find the solution you've been waiting for at qr1.be/8w3r. There you will find a revolutionary opportunity to earn extra income and achieve financial freedom. With a huge compensation plan and life-changing products, this opportunity offers 6 amazing ways that you can earn lots of money. Imagine living the the life you've always dreamed of, traveling the world, buying that dream car, and providing for your family without worrying about finances. And here's the best part. There's no monthly membership fee, and you don't have to purchase products to participate. All the products are made right here in the USA with the purest and healthiest ingredients, offering unmatched quality at prices up to 75% off retail price. Don't wait any longer to change your life. Visit qr1.be/8W3R. That's qr1.be/8W3R. And learn about this incredible opportunity to start making the money that you deserve. This is your chance to break free from the daily grind and achieve financial freedom. qr1.be/8W3R. qr1.be/8W3R. Robert Allen Miltenberg invites you to time travel with him to the Roman future. His new novella, available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. It's the golden age of Rome, a time of peace and prosperity. And Scadius Commodius Lavatorius is its greatest scientist. But for all he's achieved, one question haunts him. Will Rome survive the test of time? There's only one way to find out. Come along on this cosmic romp of an adventure. See if you can read the signs any better than a brilliant scientist can. Prediction, science fiction, allegory, national glory. This is a satire at its most gladiatorial. Center stage in the Circus Maximus of your mind. A story of time machines and timeless politics, strange Roman cuisine and gambling parlor tricks, spinning gold and crossing the river Styx. That's the Roman future. Available on Kindle and paperback. Go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble now and visit The Roman Future by Robert Allen Miltenberg today.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. By the way, the Brian Craig Show podcast that you are listening to now is on all podcast platforms. If there's a podcast platform, the Brian Craig Show podcast is on it. And we also upload the show to my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show on YouTube. So make sure you follow us in all those places.
There's this article in Breitbart that IBM is replacing 7,800 human employees with AI.
I didn't even know IBM existed.
This is like out of a movie. I've seen movies where robots take over.
That's what's happening.
This is like the origin story of the Matrix. You're going to see a lot of like people, for example, that write advertising copy or posts for social media for these companies, tweets, news, anything. You're going to see newsrooms now replacing writers. Look at, they're having this writer strike in Hollywood, and you had said to me, they might come out with shows that are strictly written by AI now.
Yeah, no union dues and all that stuff then, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you are going to see, you've already seen it in stores with automation. When you go in, they've gotten rid of,
cashiers.
And then the toll people that took the tolls on the roads, those are gone. Automation has been slowly taking over jobs, and now you're going to start seeing it big time in the tech world, where these tech companies replace human workers. I mean, you think about it, they pay people, $60,000, $70,000 a year, maybe more, times, 8,000 employees. And then they can just have an AI robot do it, or program that they program automatically. It's crazy. It's scary and fascinating to me at the same time.
The AI terrifies me. There's an episode of the original.
Yeah, this is like science fiction.
There's an episode of the original Star Trek. It's one of my favorite episodes. It's called The Ultimate Computer. And this guy, Dr. Daystrom, he designed the Enterprise, the original Enterprise, the character. And he builds this artificial intelligence computer. This is, the original Star Trek series.
It's like HAL from 2001.
And it controls the whole ship. And the ship is run by this computer. And of course, it has disastrous ends.
Exactly.
But Captain Kirk realizes he doesn't have anything to do. The computer's doing it. And Dr. McCoy says to Captain Kirk, we all love advancements. We all love the new machines and the new computers. It makes our life easier until it takes our job.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's... Yeah. They already have robots that do surgeries. And when I had my, they obviously need doctors still to guide them. But I think there's going to come a time where you're going to go into an operating room and somebody's just going to push a button and you're going to have a robot completely perform the operation.
They're almost
for you.
doing that now. I was reading an article a couple days ago. Doctors in Miami, at one of the hospitals in Miami, are using the cancer doctors are using the AI to diagnose patients and come up with treatment protocols.
How do they diagnose with an AI?
I don't even want to know. I don't know, but it scares Elon Musk, and he says it's bad news.
You know, I think it's, like I said, I think it's fascinating and cool, but at the same time, it is a little frightening because things are being so dehumanized in our society. I think of that song by Rick Springfield, "The Human Touch." That's a good song, but he talks about the robots kind of taking over. But that's like what's happening now. But it's been slowly happening for decades. I mean, really, with automation, there was stuff automated even in the 50s and 60s. But this whole AI thing is so different because this is like systems that can think and start to teach themselves and be autonomous, which is separate from humans. You're going to see full companies with their all employees are going to be all automated things.
Automation before, for the not exclusively, but mostly, what most automation did was take away like low-level, entry-level jobs.
Yeah.
Right? Like
the toll plaza
collectors and cashiers.
They don't have those anymore.
But now it's going after college-educated professionals.
Yeah, these are white-collar jobs.
Like you can go to the AI and write computer code now, even if you don't know anything about coding. So it's
incredible.
It's really scary because the more dependent we become on these things, the less dependent we could be if something went out.
And I don't know how teachers can control this because I used to teach English and I would have kids write essays and things like that. And I would have to sometimes grade 150 essays in like a weekend. And if you have students, and I promise you, most of those students are using that AI chat GPT to write their papers and essays. I can promise you that. How do you control that? And how do you even know you accuse a kid? How do you prove it? Plagiarism is easy because you can show documentation. Okay, you took it from this article, you took it from this person. But ChatGPT, it's very subjective to what you put into the program. So there's really no way of actually proving somebody used it to write an essay. And I promise you kids are using it now. So what does that mean? I mean, kids are like not even thinking anymore. They don't even have to think anymore. Like our daughter said, they didn't even teach spelling in school because they had word processors that did it for them.
I've heard people say that the AI writing is not plagiarism because it's original writing. Each thing it writes is original.
Right. So
and when I remember when I was in college, now I went to college as an adult, so I went to college later than if I just went after high school. But they would tell us, like when we were doing, especially in my senior year when we had to, it's all writing papers, which was awful. But the professors would all tell us that they had a program they could run the papers through and check for plagiarism.
Oh, that's all BS.
That was all BS.
Yeah.
Even if they had it, they wouldn't go to the trouble. But now things are a little different. It's pretty scary stuff now.
But that's crazy about IBM.
Back in the real world, though, this story is getting a lot of play today about what's sadly is going on with the FBI and the Catholic Church. This is in the Gateway Pundit today. Devout Catholics report suspicious activity after Chris Wray's FBI targets faithful Catholics for what they call extremist behavior. Listen to this. The FBI agents are engaging in outreach to Catholic leaders to spy on Americans practicing their Christian faith. This is in the Gateway Pundit I'm reading from. This is an earth-shattering development in the U.S. intelligence community. We already know that the FBI and DOJ was targeting traditional Catholics. Now we have evidence they are infiltrating Catholic parishes.
Why Catholic Church? I don't get it. Why are they going after Catholics?
It's unclear. I'll read the rest of this article, but I think
it doesn't make sense to me.
I think that the hardcore organized pro-life movement is done through the Catholic Church.
You think it has to do with abortion?
Yeah, it's all I can think of. If anybody else has any other
ideas?
ideas?
Catholics are usually pretty liberal. Other than abortion, I mean, they're usually Democrats.
Look, Pelosi, Biden, John Kerry.
Yeah, exactly.
They're okay.
So I don't get it.
Yeah, Chris Wray's FBI sent out a memo warning FBI agents of the dangerous radical traditionalist Catholic ideology that was gaining popularity in the country. The memo was posted at undercoverdc.com by a former FBI special agent.
I'm not familiar with this dangerous. I'm surprised they're not infiltrating evangelical churches. That would make more sense. That's like hardcore conservative.
Yeah.
Catholic churches are not hardcore conservative places. Other than abortion, the church is very liberal on a lot of their stances politically. They like refugees, they like immigrants, illegals. They want us to help them, and a lot of that is very socialistic.
Yep.
So I don't get
it's
that
crazy.
at all.
2 parishioners at a Latin Mass Catholic church in Northern Virginia say they witnessed suspicious activity from what looked like FBI vehicles in February, a month after the FBI's Richmond office published a now rescinded internal memo focused on radical traditional Catholics. The FBI, Virginia is, basically Washington, right? The FBI's Washington, D.C. office, which monitors the church's area, denied anything, of course. What are they going to do?
Of course they do.
The 2 witnesses told the Daily Signal they saw 2 cars approach the church, drive through the parking lot as if they were writing down license plate numbers, and then leave. They saw this on 2 separate instances.
The hell?
Outside the Immaculate Heart of Mary Chapel in Linden, Virginia, which is 63 miles west of D.C.
So are they targeting
this was in February.
Like Catholic churches like they did mosques after 9/11? Weren't they monitoring them too?
Yeah, except mosques.
This is kind of the same thing?
Except the buildings had gotten knocked down.
No, I know.
But
remember the outrage from people impugning. I just don't understand why they're spying on Catholics. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and
I don't get it.
And they go into more details about what they witnessed in the parking lot. And I have been on a couple of occasions where I've more than a couple, several occasions where I've been up to Trump events and everything else around Mar-a-Lago, and you can tell there's undercover feds, undercover federal agents. You can tell, and they blend in, and they, they wear MAGA gear and stuff. There was one in particular from one of the famous groups, and I can't remember which one of the 2 it was, so I don't want to say the name, but it's one of the big groups where they wear kind of like a uniform.
Yeah.
And all the guys were like 40 to 50, okay? And they were wearing expensive leather vests with the name of the group on them. They were all in their 40s, right?
Yeah.
None of them had beer bellies. They were all in perfect physical condition. And they all had like government military haircuts, right? You could tell. You could just tell. Like I remember after 9/11. They have like a look. Yeah, you can tell. They look like cops. You know how cops look.
Yeah.
Ray Epps looks like a cop. That's why he looks like just the way he carries himself and the way he acts. You understand what I mean? And I remember after 9/11 with air marshals, there were air marshals before 9/11, but nobody really talked about them until after. And everybody would say you could tell the air marshals. Not every flight had them because they had to wear suits and they had military haircuts. They stood out like a sore thumb. That's how these guys stand out. And I've seen some others, that you can tell they're infiltrators. But, that's fine. Let them do what it is they got to do. The first actual Trump rally I went to in the first campaign, there were undercover feds who were doing security. There was this leftist Bernie Sanders person, and I had waited in the hot Florida sun for like 4 hours. There were no chairs by the stand. They were packed in like sardines. It was a venue way too small for President Trump. And there was this woman in front of me for hours. And before Trump came out, she couldn't control herself. There was a speaker before Trump, and she just lost it with all her Bernie Sanders crap. And 2 federal agents in regular clothes came and walked away with her. And they were right like 2 or 3 people away from me for like 3 hours. And I didn't even know they were federal agents. And then they came out, and then I saw the haircuts, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. And they just picked her up and walked out with her, screaming like she was having a seizure.
Do you think they're targeting just certain specific churches where they might feel they're getting reports that there's this so-called
this is what I think
hardcore,
they're doing.
Or is it any church? I think it's certain churches.
This is what
where they think things are happening.
This is what I think they're doing, okay? The overturning of Roe v. Wade has limited abortions in numbers that it's just unbelievable. It's such a great
but why
thing.
do the feds care about that?
I'm trying to tell you. I'm telling you right now. So, the Catholic Church, even among many liberal Catholics, the Priests for Life and things have been very active over the years.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm not saying this is the reality. I'm saying this is what they're telling themselves, okay? That the pro-life Catholic activists had a huge victory. And now that they've gotten a little bit of a victory, they're going to go for total victory. And they're going to start doing things like used to happen in the 80s and 90s. A lot of there were pro-life people that did some terrible things, right? Like the Olympic bombing and stuff like this.
They think they're going to do stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah, that's what they tell themselves. It's obvious they're pro-life. I know things have happened in the past.
So they see them like as terrorists.
That's
like
correct.
A terrorist
Domestic
cell.
terrorist. That's exactly right. Yeah. So they're infiltrating the Catholic Church, which is outrageous. It's awful. But that
I don't like them writing down license plates. That's pretty scary. If you're at church and you see that happening, it's like, what the hell?
Well, even though the Catholic Church is pro-life, I mean, it's been we're Catholic. It's been my experience that the Catholic Church is filled with liberal people.
It's very liberal.
When we had a priest from Priests for Life speak in Mass one Sunday, half the church walked out in the middle of Mass, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm surprised
I was
you didn't
shocked.
get booed.
I was shocked. I'd never seen anything like that in church.
Yeah.
So
they're very more liberal leaning than anything.
It's unfortunate. Kathy and I are Catholic, but we converted to Catholicism. I don't know how many years ago, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. So we weren't born into it. A lot of people are born into it. So they're kind of like Catholic by habit.
Well, I was kind of born into it. I was Episcopal, which
That's
is really,
not now.
It's very similar to Catholic. We just the Episcopals don't recognize the Pope. That's the only difference. I mean, when I went to the Catholic service, and we don't, they're not as into the saints, but we went into the Catholic service. It's the exact same service
Pretty
as
much,
the Episcopal.
It is
exactly the same. And I grew up.
Yeah.
I mean, the same
It is the
Nicene
same.
Creed and the same order. I was like, this is the exact same thing. But the only thing, the first time we went to a Catholic service, or the second time, they paraded around a big statue of Mary on a platform. That was new. I'd never seen that in the Episcopal Church. That was a little different. But
I remember the second time we went to went to Catholic Mass before we had even decided we were going to become Catholic. They did that, and I told Kathy, I said, if they'd have done that the first time we came, we may not have come back. It was so bizarre to us.
Well, my mom does not like the Catholic Church. My mom grew up going to Catholic school, and she was Episcopal in the 60s, and she said she was bullied a lot by the Catholic girls and the nuns. And of course, nuns are really not known for being nice.
Yeah.
But so when I told her I was becoming Catholic, she was really very upset with me for a while. But I explained it to her. And that was my reluctance to become Catholic, was I didn't want to upset my mother, because she really had a real bad things to say.
Yeah.
But she's actually gone with us to church and since then, which is crazy. But anyway.
Well,
I don't like them targeting. I'm surprised they're not. Maybe they are targeting evangelical churches too. You just don't know about it. You know what I mean? They've got to be. If they're going after the Catholics, they got to be going after the evangelical churches as well, the non-denominational, because they're really conservative.
The overturning of Roe v. Wade is like a miracle.
It is.
The Republicans, for as long as we've been around, have talked about doing it, and I never thought it would happen. And then Trump did it with those Supreme Court picks. And
I never thought it would. I was shocked.
Let me tell you, whatever Donald Trump has done and whatever he will do in his second term, nothing will equal that, because millions and millions and millions of people will be born because he overturned Roe v. Wade and live. And they're going to have kids. Well,
and I've said
forever.
Before, the reason this really happened, part of it, and I think that the tide turned on abortion, because it's not the big issue it was. And it has to do with the morning after pill.
And there's other birth control that
there's other birth control. There's not the stigma there used to be to being a single mother.
Pregnant out of wedlock and stuff.
Out of wedlock, like there used to be, like what your mom with her birth mother had to deal with.
Yeah.
And so you have those issues going on. And there was another one I just totally forgot. But anyway, it's not the
Well,
same.
it's the abortion pill. Took the surgical abortions off the table, really.
I'd mentioned that, but there was another thing. It just slipped my mind. It happens when you get older.
Well, yeah. And
anyway, it's just different than it used to be.
Public opinion turned on abortion, except in these liberal cities. And it just is amazing to me that it happened. And it's an amazing thing that Donald Trump did. I don't expect him to talk about it too much because there's one last thing I want to mention in this segment about Trump and DeSantis. I don't want to forget. There's this PAC that's running, the DeSantis people running these ads, and they're saying that while Trump was standing next to Fauci, DeSantis was opposing Fauci. Trump was president of the United States when the crisis happened. He and no one else knew exactly what was going on, and Fauci had that job. It's different than putting him up on a pedestal with Fauci pillows behind you, and they're trying to make him sound like Gretchen Whitmer. But there was, my goodness, that was scary. I think people have blacked out. I remember coming home from the radio station. I'd be the only car on the road.
Like the Omega Man.
Yeah.
I think for DeSantis or Trump or anybody, focusing on COVID is a losing strategy. I don't think people want to hear about it. They don't want to talk about it.
I don't talk about it. I don't want to hear about it.
They're tired of it. They're like, let's move on. Nobody wants to revisit that. And I think him going after Trump and vice versa, Trump going after him on COVID is going to fall on deaf ears. I don't think it's going to be effective at all. Because people don't want to remember it. They want to move on from it. They don't want to think about it. It was in the past. It was a plague. And those things don't happen very often. And people don't want to talk about COVID. It happened. And nothing is going to come out of COVID that's going to be that we're going to glean from it to make our future better.
And
so,
you know what?
Because we probably won't have another pandemic for another 100 years. So I think it's a wasted topic for anybody. And
here's another thing about it. There's a lot of revisionist memories about Ron DeSantis and
that's
COVID.
all he's got on Trump. That's really weak.
Florida was locked down, a lot of it. Our beaches were closed. The theme parks in Orlando were closed. You couldn't go into restaurants or bars. The schools were closed. And I know they'll say, well, that was local. Yeah, but still, Florida was closed more than you think.
Yeah.
In our community, you weren't allowed to drive at certain times of the night. I was allowed because I work in radio. I'm considered media, and media is considered essential. And and there's people have forgotten because I think people have blacked out or blocked out that.
Yeah, I don't
that
think people
part.
want to talk about it anymore.
And it's a weird thing. I was, our daughter has, we talk about how she's moved out of the house. And Kathy and I have been going through every room in our house and decluttering our lives and throwing away, things.
We've thrown away a lot of stuff.
And I was cleaning the garage and I was going through boxes. Kathy, I found a case of hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
I remember that stuff used to be like gold.
Yeah, we have so much of it.
Hand sanitizer. I just found a case of it like behind somewhere in the garage. And people have forgotten about what that time is like. And I'll tell you.
Yeah, they want to forget.
Me personally, during the whole COVID period up till today, I didn't even talk about it then. I'm just, I don't even want to remember that time.
Yeah, I think for any candidate, it's just to attack Trump or for Trump to attack DeSantis on the closings. Who cares? I think that's just
Florida
stupid.
Was very closed down.
If you were Trump and you wanted to go after DeSantis, the COVID is stupid. What would you go after him on? Is the Disney, I think, is the big one.
Losing to Disney is huge.
Because I would say, and they had that weird ad about him eating pudding, which was stupid too.
No, that was not a good ad.
That was dumb.
That wasn't Trump.
I know, but it was dumb. But he can go after him on the Disney and be like, look, this guy does not know how to pick his battles. Okay, look how far this has come. He's supposed to be pro-business. He's going after a business over his ego. Because they humiliated him publicly, how far is he going to take this? And that's where you go after DeSantis, how he cannot handle even dealing with going after a company, which is very anti-conservative.
If you can't beat Mickey Mouse, how are you going to take on Putin? That's the comparison you would make, and that's true. That's just not rhetoric. Now, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there is a lot more to talk about. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back. Today's episode is sponsored by the Zulu One podcast. Ever wondered how your family's patterns or even a family curse affect your life? Zulu One dives into the world of family constellations, helping you uncover and understand these hidden dynamics. Through expert interviews and engaging discussions, Zulu One unravels the mysteries behind family patterns and generational curses, providing you with practical tools to improve your relationships and well-being. Intrigued? Join the Zulu One podcast to start transforming your family dynamics and breaking free from family curses today. For more information or to book a session, email zulu1podcast@gmail.com and visit zulu1.org. Do you ever feel like you've lost your way? Like you're adrift and you just can't find your bearings? Let Annie Harrison's journey inspire you. In Beyond the Sea, Annie's Journey into the Extraordinary, from author Nina Perti, Annie set sail on her grandfather's luxurious and magnificent yacht to travel the world and restore her sense of direction. She meets two charming suitors, a Spanish matador and a Moroccan businessman. Her talent for blending architectural style with history is only enhanced by the fascinating places she visits. But when Annie's father reappears after missing for 2 years and the British Secret Service gets involved, she realizes she may be in over her head. With thrilling plot twist and a cast of memorable characters, Beyond the Sea is a captivating novel that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Order your copy of Beyond the Sea, Annie's Journey into the Extraordinary, from author Nina Perti. Available right now on Amazon, iTunes, and Google Play. This book is perfect for book clubs. Order your copy right now. Are you a coffee lover, pet parent, or pet lover with a passion for travel and adventure? If so, the trendy apparel from Coffee Lover Styles Etsy store are perfect for you and others. Their soft and comfortable shirts, hoodies, and sweatshirts are made from 100% cotton and feature stylish designs featuring coffee, pets, adventure, and other graphics. Perfect for him, her, teachers, nurses, baristas, moms, dads, boyfriends, and girlfriends. The classic apparel we all love is sure to keep you feeling cool and looking stylish. With their classic fit, their versatile shirts, hoodies, and sweatshirts are great for the office, school, shopping, or a casual night out. Whether you're a caffeine lover, pet parent, pet lover, or adventurer, this awesome apparel from Coffee Lover Styles will help you show off your style while you pursue your passions. Don't wait. Get yours now from Coffee Lover Styles, because coffee is a lifestyle. Online at coffeeloverstyles.etsy.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program, and I want to welcome some new Patreon supporters to the program. I want to welcome Richard, Storm Rider, David Ray, Phil, and Chili Dog. I love people's online names.
Oh, yeah, those are fun.
Mine's kind of boring, just my name. Chili Dog. Storm Rider.
I love chili dogs.
Well, when I first got into radio, I knew a lot of guys that had these funny air names, you know?
Chili Dog's a good radio name.
And yeah, half of my friends, the last name was Michaels, you know?
Yeah.
I do like
I wonder why.
20 guys whose last name was Michaels. And I was trying to come up with a cool air name, and I just never could come up with one. Well, you know, one of the reasons, too, was because I was on the radio here in South Florida, and I grew up in South Florida. I kind of wanted people to know that it was, you know, me. You know what I mean? Like the people I knew. But welcome to our new Patreon supporters. And, of course, as a Patreon supporter, you have access to commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. We upload it on the Patreon page, so you can catch it there. And our top Patreon supporters get a live, on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. So the names I'm going to share with you right now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, and Arctic Fox.
We're going to add some more top patrons to that.
Oh, we have some new top
Well,
patrons.
some of the ones you mentioned. David Ray is a top Patreon, and Richard.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys.
Patreon. So thank you. All the Patreons. It really does mean a lot, and it is a great way to support the channel. And I put pictures up there, too, of little behind the scenes of us. Yesterday, we went to Chipotle. I put a picture of Brian up there. I put pictures of sneak peeks. Like the picture we have, there's a great picture of our daughter. She's amazing. She went to see a comedian in Hollywood Sunday night, and she was at the Walk of Fame, and she FaceTimes us a lot from Los Angeles to show us stuff. And she's at the Walk of Fame, and she was at Walt Disney or Betty White's star. And she's like, oh, and then she FaceTimes, she says, where's Trump's star? And I said, I don't know. So she actually Googled it and got the exact address, and she walked 6 blocks to get a picture for us.
Through the homeless.
And for you guys.
Through the homeless of LA.
Yeah. And she got a great picture at Trump's star, and I put it on the Patreon the day before. I put it on your YouTube channel, so the Patreon's got a sneak peek. It's like I made it my wallpaper on my phone.
Oh, cool.
It's like my new favorite picture of Emily. And it's a great selfie with Trump's star. So she walked 6 blocks to get that picture, but she's having a great. So that was really nice of her. So I was pretty excited. So we put that on the YouTube, and it's had like almost 1,500 likes or views or whatever. And then, but the Patreon's got a sneak peek, so they get sneak peeks sometimes, and like you said, commercial free shows and all that kind of stuff. So it's really appreciated.
And sometimes on occasion, we'll do a Patreon-only podcast episode and things.
Yes, we'll be doing one of those soon.
And if you'd like to become a patron of the program, there's a link in the description of this and every episode. There's also a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. And also, you can just directly go there. It's patreon.com/real Brian Craig Show, patreon.com/real Brian Craig Show. So you just sent me this article during the break. E. Jean Carroll, this lunatic that was coming on to Anderson Cooper last week on live television. She's testifying.
That's how crazy she is, coming on to gay men. God.
I mean, even if he wasn't gay, would he be interested in an old lady like that?
I don't know. He kind of looks like an old lady.
He's got the white hair. So this is out of Bloomberg. Listen to this. The New York author who claims – I love how they describe her as this New York author. What does that even mean?
I think she did all this to help her career. Because all of a sudden people are talking about her and talking about her career. You know what I mean?
The New York author who claims Donald Trump raped her in the 1990s testified at the trial of her civil lawsuit that one of President Trump's most outspoken critics played a key role in her decision to sue. During questioning, which of course is under oath under penalty of perjury by Trump's lawyer, E. Jean Carroll told the jury yesterday that she decided to take legal action against Trump within days of being encouraged to do so by George Conway, co-founder of the Lincoln Project.
What is his thing with Trump? Why does he have such a thing for Trump? I mean, he really, I think it's just jealousy.
Are he and Kellyanne Conway divorced now?
They're getting divorced. But I think he really, her working for Trump just sent him over the edge, because I don't get his pure hatred for him. I mean, it's okay to, you say, I don't like Trump. He's a little rough around the edge.
Not okay to me.
Not okay, but you know what I mean? Not everybody likes the guy. I don't understand, but they don't. But he has an absolute obsession with this man that drives his entire existence now. And he's encouraging lawsuits and people to lie. And this guy's a menace. I mean, what is his thing with Trump? What do you think? Why does he have such a thing for him? Honestly, it's bizarre. I mean, it's Trump derangement syndrome to the nth degree.
My guess would be he's just the outspoken front man for a bunch of the Republican establishment. The Republican
His
Party. His
hatred's pretty hardcore.
People don't remember what the Republican Party used to be like. I remember back in the days of George Bush 1 and 2 and stuff like that. The Republican Party was really this geeky place with a bunch of elite people that, like the bow ties like Tucker used to wear and the penny loafers and all that stuff. It was not an everyman Joe Sixpack political party. And they're snobs and they don't like regular people.
You think it's just that?
I think
it has to do with his wife. It's got to have to do with
probably
Kellyanne.
helps. So
Yeah.
Biden
Very jealous.
is a real scummy guy. So Title 42 is ending. Now, Title 42 is the COVID health emergency at the southern border, so they can just turn people away because of the health emergency.
Oh.
That's ending.
They're not turning. It's not going to make a difference.
So there are thousands and thousands and thousands. I mean, there's an army, the largest foreign force ever is on the U.S. southern border ready to invade, right? So Biden is going to send 1,500 troops to the southern border. And I imagine that they'll not be armed, or if they have guns, they won't have bullets in them.
Doesn't seem like very many.
Is he going to send soldiers to the southern border with loaded weapons to shoot migrants?
No,
I don't think so.
That's all for show.
It's for show. But here he creates a crisis, and then he sends the army down there to do a show thing as if he's doing something about the crisis.
Absurd. I know, it's absurd.
that he created. And it's a god awful thing. And I was listening to a very interesting interview with Prince. I still call him Prince Charles to our listeners in the UK. I just can't get this King Charles thing. I'm sorry.
I'm going to watch that coronation. I've never
I
seen
watched the coronation, but I was watching Prince Charles' sister. I forgot her name now.
Anne?
Is it Anne?
Yeah.
And I like her. I think she's pretty cool. And
he seems like a jerk.
We watched a documentary on her a few months ago when the Queen died, and she survived a kidnapping attempt. Some guys tried to kidnap her for ransom when she was a young woman. It was amazing. She's kind of in that spot where she just says whatever she wants. So there's this big movement going on, and this relates to the southern border. I'll tell you guys how. There's this movement going on that the royal family and Britain owe something for the slave trade. Now, the British ended slavery long before even we did, right? And Charles is a big liberal jerk, right? Climate change, everything liberal. He's just a lunatic, okay? And he has authorized a King's Commission to look into the responsibility of the royal family into slavery.
Oh, my goodness.
And they asked her, I'm sorry, I can't remember what her name is. Is it Anne?
Yeah, it's Anne, I'm pretty sure.
Prince Charles' sister.
Yeah.
And she said the slavery never ended. It's just different now. Yeah. And what she's talking about in Europe, they have a similar thing that we have here. It's a little different, but it's similar. Depending on what part of Europe you're in, but there are migrants from North Africa that are all over Europe and they do the kind of work in Europe that illegals that come from our southern border do here: factory work, menial jobs, cleaning houses, farm work, and things like this. And what's going on right now is a slave trade. And I know when people look back in time, they say to themselves, how could there ever have been slavery in the United States? And I know it's hard to believe, but it's existing right now. And I'm more concerned about the slavery that's going on in this country now as opposed to the past. And the slavery that's going on, there's labor slavery and sex slavery going on, and it's going through the southern border. And I think I mentioned this on one of our podcasts, but I want to mention it again because I didn't get into this aspect of it. Kathy and I, of course, were missing our daughter since she moved across the country from us, and we watch a lot of videos on YouTube that are street views of Los Angeles, people driving around Los Angeles, and they're just YouTube channels with people with dashboard cameras. And a lot of Los Angeles is not that nice. A lot of Southern California is pretty bad. And there's these videos that popped up in my feed because we're watching all these street videos, and it's Figueroa Street, and it's just all sex workers. And they're like, Kathy, they're like as stereotypical as James O'Keefe and that girl when they did the Veritas videos with Acorn. They're dressed up. There's no men around, just the women, but they're wearing like bunny slippers and you know what I mean? It's like, and it's the daytime and they're walking around the street. And I called our daughter. I said, don't go to Figueroa. I've heard of Figueroa because it's in all the police shows. They're always answering calls on Figueroa. And the thing about that is these women that are walking the streets on Figueroa in Los Angeles, they all have pimp daddies that they got to answer to. They're slaves. They're not out there because I'm sure there may be some isolated women who don't mind. I doubt it. But most of them are sex slaves.
Yeah.
Those women are slaves. These people that are coming up from Latin America across the southern border, they're slaves. They're labor slaves. They are sex slaves. Yeah. And it's a modern day slave trade that I think one day in the future will be seen as that. And this country, who spends so much time focusing on slavery that ended over a century and a half ago, there's this second wave of slavery is a big aspect of our economy. You know, when I was in college, this liberal professor I had, he said the two most destructive inventions ever were the A-bomb and the cotton gin. After the cotton gin, slavery increased because cotton became more profitable, so they were growing more cotton. A lot of the American economy depended on slave labor back then, right? But how much of the American economy today depends on this labor slavery that's coming across the southern border?
I don't know.
You know, here in Florida, Florida is more than just beaches and Disney World, okay? It's an agricultural state. And if you drive 15 minutes from Mar-a-Lago, you're in farm country. And if you go to gas stations and convenience stores in that area, they're all Mexican. And you could tell by the way they dress, because they dress like they're either Mexican or Central American. They dress kind of like in Texas kind of clothes. They don't dress like Florida people. They don't dress like Cubans or Puerto Ricans. They're wearing like Wrangler jeans, cowboy boots, and cowboy hat. You can tell, you know, they're not from here. And there's a huge agricultural slave labor going on 10 or 15 minutes from where we're sitting, 10, 15 minutes from Mar-a-Lago. And it's that way all over the country. Yeah. Okay. And there's other things too. Okay. I mean, you know, that with the sex slavery that's going on. And I just know that one day people will look back and say, you know, in the 2000s, I couldn't believe that. And they were bringing this passage across the southern border will be known as a slave passage. And there's one last one I just want to mention before we go. And I know we're focusing on sex a lot in this episode, but I discovered
you're focusing on sex.
I guess I am, Kathy. I found somebody that I
watch myself.
Yeah, right. I found somebody that I'd forgotten about on YouTube today. What's her name? Jedediah?
Yeah.
She used to be on Fox. Jedediah. Her last name starts with a B.
I don't know her last name.
I can't remember her last name. And she's all right. She's no Megyn Kelly. But I watched her show for a little bit, and she was talking about the girls that are doing OnlyFans.
Yeah.
You know, and how they're being sexualized, and what's going on with OnlyFans. If you notice, there's been like OnlyFans murders. Like one of the OnlyFans girls killed her boyfriend, right? And she said that he wouldn't let her leave. That he had her on camera doing sex all day. There are I don't know how many women that are being forced into sexual servitude on OnlyFans by boyfriends and husbands because they're making so much money in this country. So, you know, all this talk about things in the past that have been resolved and aren't affecting anyone today, all these things are happening in this country today. And in fact, there is more slavery in America today than at the peak of the antebellum slave South.
Maybe. Worldwide.
All of these things.
For sure, with the sex slavery, you know, girls just get kidnapped and taken and you never see them again.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're put on drugs, and it's awful. It's just a horrible thing.
So, you know, what's going on in this country, President Trump's trying to stop this stuff. You know, of course, everybody knows what he did with the southern border. He locked it down. He had the Mexican army was guarding their northern border, our southern border. But if you remember, one of the first things President Trump did was shut down the online prostitution stuff, the back page. Yep. And this other stuff we were talking about didn't exist then. And I bet you that President Trump would shut down the OnlyFans.
Has he updated his website? I have to check it out, like listed his plans for...
I think we should check it out. I've not
sure
looked in a while.
A lot to do with what he was doing
I don't know if he has a formal platform for the second term yet.
Does he have that yet?
Well, I got to look into it. I don't know, but he should. And I'll tell you one thing, and then we'll sign off for today. But there's one thing that I would really like Trump to add to his platform. Yeah. And I've talked to people about this, and everyone agrees with me that I've talked to about this, is seizing all foreign-owned farmland The Chinese have been buying up U.S. farmland like crazy.
I agree with that. And doing what? Have the government own it or
some
resell
of it? Resell it to America. You know, that's
that.
very dangerous because that's our food supply.
Yeah.
And you can sabotage it just by not planting properly. You know, like Kathy will tell you. I have we've lived in our house for 20 years. Anything I've planted in the yard has died.
Yeah.
I'm not a planter, Kathy. I'm sorry. You know, but you can, the Chinese have control. I plant a flower, it's dead. I plant a tree, it dies. I just, and you're
not King Charles, who's really good at gardening, apparently.
Well, he has no job and has lots of time to figure it out.
His whole life revolves around his garden.
Yeah, that's right. And his scepter now.
He probably sings to his flowers, petunias and stuff.
But I just can't.
You have to work for a living.
But the Chinese could have a huge impact on the U.S. economy.
Yeah. I
mean, think about it. If they just don't fertilize or something goes wrong in the crops and they go, oh, well, we didn't mean to.
They could create another crisis.
And act like, well, we didn't mean to.
Right.
You know what I mean? We just didn't plant properly. We used the wrong fertilizer.
Like it leaked accidentally.
So I would love to see President Trump add to his platform the seizure by the federal government of all foreign-owned farmland in the United States.
I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, that's what he really needs to focus on.
That's a big deal.
Kayleigh McEnany said on Fox when I was watching it a month ago or whatever.
You're not watching it now.
No, I haven't. A couple weeks ago, she said her advice to Trump would be to focus more on his future plans for the country and deal with what we're dealing with now instead of constantly rehashing. And I agree with that. I really want to see him move forward. Obviously, there's things that people are still concerned about that have happened, but it's time to table those things, not forget them, but just table them for now, and let's focus on his platform for 2024. I mean, I'd really like to hear it because there's a lot of new issues that have popped. We didn't have the Ukraine issue going on before when he was running. There's a lot of new things going on.
And one of the things he could add to his platform is the first week of my second term, I will have a summit meeting with Zelensky and Putin.
He said he could solve that problem in 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I believe he could. I think what he would do is he would completely cut off Zelensky. No more money.
And Putin's dependent
and no more
too.
Weapons.
Russia's not independent, and he's got some
he would
plans.
cut him off completely. I mean, we're funding this war. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. He would cut it off completely and be like, you're on your own, and it would end very quickly. Mm-hmm. And, but that's why these people don't want him in office. It's not because he's rude or tweets nasty things. It's because he's a threat to the military-industrial complex right now.
Well, listen, guys, thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy, and we will talk to you next time.